This is the Sacred Band of Thebes. I did a video about them last January, but it's a great story and I'm happy to tell it again. For those who don't know, my name's Amanda and I'm a public historian who talks about queer history on the internet. Ancient Greece had a rich and complex culture around the love between men that I will talk about at some point, but as far as we know, intentionally sending men who were lovers into battle together wasn't standard procedure. Obviously, men who were lovers were also often comrades in arms, then and now. The Sacred Band of Thebes was an elite military force of 300 men that was formed somewhere around 379, 378 BCE, specifically to break Sparta's iron hold on the region. We're not exactly sure why it was called the Sacred Band. That's not a modern name, it's what they were called at the time. But Plutarch writes that they were sacred because each couple had to take vows at the shrine of Iolus, who was one of Heracles' lovers, before joining the unit. The idea was indeed that men would fight more fiercely and more honorably with their lovers at their side than they would when surrounded only by friends or comrades in arms. To quote Plato, what lover would not choose rather to be seen by all mankind than by his beloved when abandoning his post or throwing away his arms? He would be ready to die 1,000 deaths rather than endure this. Or who would desert his beloved or fail him in the hour of danger? And the idea worked. Fighting at first under a commander named Pelopidas, the Sacred Band is essentially the first recorded shock troop in history. 150 couples handpicked for their bravery and skill rather than their social status or military rank. They were the 300 most deadly infantrymen in the entire Theban army, and at the Battle of Tegea in 375 BCE, when the Sacred Band faced off against about 600 Spartans, they did what no other Greek military force had ever been able to do. They beat the Spartans in open battle and forced them to retreat, inspiring the entire region to envision a world free from Spartan control. To quote Plutarch, for in all the great wars there had ever been against Greeks or barbarians, the Spartans were never before beaten by a smaller company than their own, nor indeed in a set battle where their number was equal. This battle first taught the other Greeks that not only Sparta breeds men of courage and resolution. For the next 40 years, the Sacred Band was nearly invincible, recording no defeats and turning the tide of battles that would shape the next century of geopolitics in Greece. Unfortunately, that all came to an end in 338 BCE at the Battle of Chaeronea, when Philip II of Macedon and his son, who would become Alexander the Great, annihilated the allied armies of Athens and Thebes. According to ancient historians, the Allied army broke and fled when faced with Macedonian troops, but the Sacred Band held their ground and refused to surrender, fighting until the last man had fallen. Plutarch writes that Philip II had such great respect for the Sacred Band that he wept upon discovering their corpses at the end of the battle. A monument called the Lion of Chaeronea marks the site of the battle, and in the late 1800s, archaeologists discovered that it sits at the head of a rectangular enclosure that contains the skeletal remains of 127 pairs of men, arranged into rows that mimic a phalanx. Though there is some disagreement among historians, it's generally accepted that these are the remains of the Sacred Band, devoted lovers who fought together in life and remained together in death. That's it for today. As always, more information, including sources and further reading, is available in the usual place.